Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today I am back with 10 more awesome movies you've never seen. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so it is time for another in a series of awesome movies you've never seen, or maybe you've just forgotten about, and they kind of get lost in the background, shuffle, things like that. The movies that maybe you just haven't thought about in a long time. But these are 10 movies that definitely deserve another look. And coming in at the first, I'm going to tell you though, I'm going to be honest, I don't have most of these on physical media. Matter of fact, I only have one. And some of these that I had on VHS, some of them are hard, out of print, are just downright hard to find, or I'm waiting on the best version. So there you go. And we are going to start off today with 1989's How I Got Into College. Now, I remember, so it was 89, so I was probably 10, 11 when I saw this movie, maybe a little older. But How I Got Into College stars Laura Flynn Boyle and Corey, I think his name's Corey Parker. Corey Parker and Anthony Edwards from Revenge of the Nerds, and then, of course, lots of things later on. Corey Parker plays Marlon Brown, and he's in love with Laura Flynn Boyle. They're trying to get into college, and this movie is kind of ahead of its time. It's very meta. The main character talks directly to the audience a lot, and he talks out loud about he keeps visualizing, like when he has to take these SATs and college entrance exams. He keeps visualizing, like when you read like the questions, like two trains going in different or in same directions, when will they meet each other and all this stuff. And he keeps picturing two different guy A and a guy B in his mind. So as he's reading these questions throughout this movie, he keeps putting these two guys in these scenarios. So you see them like crash into each other. And he's really wanting to get into college, but he really wants to get into college where his girlfriend, or where the girl he's infatuated with, Laura Flynn Boyle, who, what's her name? Did I write it down? I can't remember. I think it's Jessica. Jessica Kilo. I think her name's Jessica Kilo in the movie. Been a little while since I've seen it, but he's really wanting to follow her wherever, and he's going to these college fairs, and he's going to like Christian colleges or Bible colleges or Ivy League colleges, and he really isn't like at a level to get in anywhere. But it's kind of funny, and like I said, you're going to see a lot of faces that you recognize in like funny bits, whether it's Curtis Armstrong or like Anthony Edwards, who's in the movie. You're going to see a lot of familiar faces. You're going to get a lot of, oh, I know that guy, situations in there. But like I said, very kind of ahead of its time, the way he breaks the fourth wall and things like that in the movie. But pretty funny movie, a little light 80s comedy, definitely worth checking out. How I Got Into College. The next one on the list is much more recent, and it stars the late Anton Yelchin. I believe that's how you say his name. That is 2013's Odd Thomas. Now, Odd Thomas is based on a Dean Koontz book. At least I believe it's a Dean Koontz book. And basically what it is Willem Dafoe stars in the movie too. Anton Yelchin plays a character who can see dead people. And basically this group comes to town, this guy comes to town, and essentially what it is he has to team up with Willem Dafoe, who's playing the sheriff, and his girlfriend, Stormy, I believe her name is Stormy. And they really have to basically stop a disaster of apocalyptic type proportions. So he's kind of clairvoyant. He can see dead people, and he can see the bad people too, and can see what's going on. So they have to kind of stop the end of the world, so to speak. And it's kind of an interesting situation. And I don't know. It's kind of like, I remember watching it and I was like, Odd Thomas is a good name. Me and my buddy Lance watched this when we were filming a movie, I believe. And it was like, man, Odd Thomas is a good title for this because it's a little odd, but it's kind of got like a little bit of Frighteners feel to it to me a little bit. And then, of course, the I See Dead People. You can't help but think of like The Sixth Sense. But Frighteners, I feel like, is a better feel, like if you're comparing feels. But Odd Thomas, definitely one worth checking out if you haven't seen it or one that you just might have missed. Odd Thomas from 2013. Rest in peace, Anton Yelchin. A tragic accident took him away way too soon, but definitely an interesting movie there. Another one that is actually from 1989, but this movie I know very, very well and have seen more times than I can count, is Loverboy, with starring Patrick Dempsey, but you also had Carrie Fisher in here. You had Kirstie Alley in here. You had E.G. Daily in here. And what this is Patrick Dempsey is he becomes a pizza delivery driver, and he's trying to learn how to be a better lover and a better boyfriend. His girlfriend breaks up with him, and he's trying to get her back and be back with her. And he's trying to also earn all this money he needs. And he becomes a pizza delivery driver, but through twists and turns, I don't want to spoil it for you, he ends up delivering the goods to all of these cougars at like $200 a pop. They order a specific pizza. That is the code that he is going to go there, and they are going to pay him for services rendered. But he, in addition to sleeping with these women and learning how to be a better lover, he learns from them, whether it's dance, whether it's appreciation of like fine art or wine or whatever. And he becomes a well-rounded Casanova. And it is a just damn fun movie. But then at the end, like all of the husbands to these wives, like find out, and they all start chasing him, and he has dreams about them chasing him and stuff. And a lot of these women, they're neglected in some way or whatever. And they're basically giving each other what they need. You will have a blast watching Loverboy. And matter of fact, like I got to find this so that I can watch it again. Even if I have to like stream it, if there's no physical, because I haven't actually looked for a physical copy of this. But this is one that you got to own. I'm going to have to go back and own this one because Loverboy is an absolute blast. Check it out. Got a little raunch factor, a little fun, but it's definitely got heart to it. Loverboy 1989. Check it out. Coming up next is one from 2003 starring Heath Ledger, and Peter Weller is in this film, and I am talking about The Order. Now, The Order is a film that kind of like winks at being a horror film just a little bit, but never quite goes all the way there. And what it is Heath Ledger is a priest, but he's from the line of priests called Carolingians. I can't remember how you say that exactly. And he is like, he's also an investigator, kind of, for the church. So he's called in to Rome to investigate a crime. Basically, I think it's the Pope has died or a priest has died. I can't remember. And he's got marks left on him that could have been from a sin eater. And and I actually, when I first saw this movie, I thought the title was Sin Eater. And what the Sin Eater is like, they can give absolution outside of the Catholic Church. So it doesn't matter what your sins are before you die. Before you die, the Sin Eater can perform this ritual and basically take your sins into himself and absolve you of all of your sins. But he carries those sins, and before he dies, so that he doesn't go to hell, so that he's not damned for eternity, he needs the next in line Sin Eater, a member of this order. He needs them to come and absolve him and take on all those sins so that he can get to heaven after having done this, but this is all done outside the church. So does that make it a sin? Under the Catholic Church's rules, whatever. And I'm gonna say Christian Slater, Heath Ledger gets pulled into this, and as he goes deeper and deeper, and I don't want to spoil the end of it for you, but he finds out about the order and all this kind of stuff and the whole sin eating thing. And Shannon Sossamon also stars in this, who starred with him in A Knight's Tale, which is also a great movie, needs a 4K as well. But this one is like right on the edge of horror. Mark Addy is also in this movie. So this one's very interesting. Just like a good kind of like thriller that just nods at horror just a little bit and stars the late Heath Ledger. And it's a really, really good movie. The Order, 2003. Check it out. Next up on my list is the one that's probably the most likely that you have seen. And I think this is from 1996. This stars Brad Pitt, Robert De Niro, Kevin Bacon, Jason Patric, Dustin Hoffman's in this. The late Bruno Kirby is in this movie. And I am talking about Sleepers. Now, if you've never seen Sleepers, it's one that it's pretty intense. So it's not like one that you're going to rewatch maybe all the time. But Brad Pitt and Jason Patric and I think it's Billy Crudup and I can't remember the other guy's name. They're like four best friends. They're growing up in Hell's Kitchen in the 1960s. So it starts when they're younger, and like Brad Renfro plays one of them when they're younger. And, some cast of kids that you'll recognize that play the younger version of those four. And they're doing like a stupid prank. They're going to steal hot dogs from a hot dog cart vendor. And it kind of goes wrong, and they try to run off with the whole cart, and they lose control of it, and it goes downstairs and it kills someone. And so they're sentenced to, I forget however long it is. A couple of them are sentenced to longer, I think. And they get sentenced to like a juvenile, like reform school, dormitory, jail, whatever you want to call it. And Kevin Bacon plays a guard, and the guards end up not only beating but also sexually assaulting these boys the whole time they're in prison, or they're in this juvenile hall. And they eventually get out, and two of them who were in there the longest, they just get sucked right into the life of organized crime that they grew up around. But like Jason Patric, I forget what he does, but Brad Pitt's character, who I believe was played by Brad Renfro when he was younger, becomes an attorney. So like two of them are very successful. Two of them went on to life of organized crime. But the one person who like defended them the whole time was the priest in their local parish, played by Robert De Niro. And when the boys get out and they get grown, the two that went into organized crime, they see Kevin Bacon's character. They see him setting in this restaurant, and they confront him about what happened, and they end up killing him. And it is then up to Brad Pitt and Jason Patric, the two successful ones. They're trying to get these two off with murder. And because of what happened in the past, they believe it's justified. There's a fly flying around me. They believe it's justified. And what they need is Robert De Niro to cover for them because he is beyond reproach in the community. They need him to, there's a fly driving me nuts. They need him to basically lie for them, to help them literally get away with murder that is literally probably justified in a moment of temporary insanity, except for the guys are a little calculated about how they do it. But it is definitely a deep, dark, kind of twisted movie. And it's got a hell of a cast. So a lot of you maybe have seen it or heard of it, but maybe you skipped by it when you saw the subject matter. It is definitely worth at least a watch. Now, it's hard. It's one that's hard to watch over and over again because of that. But definitely one that you should check out at least once. Sleepers from 1996. 96. All right. Taking a light turn is the one that I actually do have. And this is 2001 film, stars Tim Allen, Julie Bowen, Jim Belushi, Patrick Warburton is in this movie, and young Hayden Panettiere is in this movie. I am talking about Joe Somebody. Now, this movie is this movie is just it's a super feel good movie. Tim Allen plays a single father in this movie to his daughter, and he's just your typical everyman. He's like kind of a mid-level executive. There's like stuck to this coming apart. He's a mid-level executive. His wife cheated on him and left him. He kind of gets passed over for everything. And one day at work, he is with his daughter's like bring your child to kid day, or to bring your kid to work day. And the one thing he has going for him is like his parking spot or whatever. And the big jerk, like the big guy is played by Patrick Warburton. He swoops in and takes his parking spot, and he's already late, and he's got his kid with him, and he's like, hey, you did this. And they have a confrontation, and Patrick Warburton basically just bitch slaps him. And he just emasculates him and humiliates him in front of everybody at work, his daughter and everything, and he just kind of snaps. And you feel so horrible for him. And even though this is a comedy, like, you feel so bad for the guy, because people have been there. Like, man, he's fighting all these battles you know nothing about. And you just totally emasculated him and humiliated him. And so when he finally snaps out of it, Julie Bowen in the movie is like the HR. She works in HR. She's kind of like the conflict resolution person. And she works with him, and it takes a different turn. And he decides he's going to train and kick Patrick Warburton's ass. In the movie, I think it's Patrick Warburton. Otherwise, I'm like just throwing him under the bus the whole time. And he goes to James Belushi, who is like a retired film actor who is supposed to be like a Steven Seagal type, who teaches martial arts, and he teaches him martial arts. He teaches him how to fight, and he's got a big scheduled fight, and it makes with the guy at work. And it makes him very popular with people at work. He gets a promotion. They're trying to do all these things. You have one guy that's working against him that's an executive that wants to use this as an excuse to fire him. Julie Bowen's on his side. And, of course, they begin a romance. And at the end, he learns that he doesn't have to fight. The guy who slapped him, he feels bad, too. And they show up to the fight, and he's nervous. He's scared. He doesn't really want to fight. It was a bad situation and everything else. And they resolve it. And but he learns a lot more about himself. He gains a lot more self-respect, a lot more respect in the eyes of other people and everything, just by taking charge and changing his life. Super feel-good movie. Joe Somebody, Tim Allen. Check it out. All right, a couple more left here. Okay, so this one is one that you'll probably see me talk about during spooky season, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it here. 2014 Kevin Durand film. This guy, that's one of those guys that you see in a lot of stuff, but he's actually a star of this, and it's called Dark Was the Night. And this is a movie that's right up my alley because it's like small town vibe horror. And he's like the sheriff in this small town, and this logging company comes in. It's like this isolated town. It's wintertime, and this logging company comes in, and they start cutting down the forest, and they basically unleash these dormant monsters that lived in the forest. And so now Kevin Durand, the town, there is no escape. It's wintertime. They can't get out of town. He has to kind of confront the demons of his past while literally confronting the demons in front of them and help the whole town survive being attacked at night by these monsters. And super cool, super atmospheric, and I definitely enjoy it. It was super underrated. I actually talked to the director when it came out, and ended up talking back and forth with him on social media because, like, yeah, I just thought it was super good movie. And Dark Was the Night. I'll talk about it more later, but it's definitely one that you got to check out. All right, down to, I believe, the final two here on the list, and actually have this second one I do have on physical media. Hold on. So I actually do have this one on physical media. I just got it in. That's why I forgot about it. Just came in the mail. This is 1977's The Sentinel. And this is another one that I'm going to be talking about during spooky season, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it now. This movie's scary as it's scary shit. All right. And it stars a who's who. So the main actress might be the least famous. Christina Rhodes, I believe is her name. But this also stars Chris Sarandon from Fright Night. It stars... who all is in this movie? I wrote down some of those. Ava Gardner's in this movie. Beverly D'Angelo's in this movie. Christopher Walken's in this movie. Burgess Meredith's in this movie. And what it is the main actress is... she's like a model, and she moves into this apartment building, and she finds out that now she is the gatekeeper to hell, and there always has to be one. And fate has always made her destined to do this. This movie has some scary ass moments in it. I have heard from Chris Sarandon, he's done an interview talking about how brutal it was to film this movie with the director. The director was like psycho out of his mind doing this, and it comes across in the movie. It is super scary. And I'm going to get into it a whole lot more, but right now I'm going ahead and preparing you so that when you see it on my other list and when I talk about it a lot more, maybe this will give you a chance to watch it ahead of time. The Sentinel, I'm not going to talk any more about it. Check it out. All right, last one up on my list, 1988. This is a movie my dad watched religiously. Now, I did just see on Orbit, there's an out of print, I think it's a Blu-ray or DVD of this, but it's like $60 or $70, and it can be more than that on eBay. I'm not sure why it's so hard to get a hold to, but I am talking about Ghost Town from 1988. This is like a haunted Western, kind of. Like, so this sheriff is pursuing someone through the West, basically, and he comes into this small town that, is it there? Is it not there? It's kind of like a cross into another dimension, basically, is what it amounts to. And this town is stuck from the Old West, and it's full of people that can't move on one way or the other. You can't tell if they're alive or dead. It's definitely horror. They're definitely like monsters who are people who are demons or ghosts, but they can also still be killed. It's almost like this town is in a permanent purgatory. My dad watched this movie all the time. My dad passed away a few years ago suddenly, and like I've thought about it before, like watching old B movies and old horror movies and old comedies and stuff like that. That's what like I think about so much when I do these, because that's one thing. The big thing me and my dad had in common was movies, and man, like this one that he just wore out. I have to get a hold to it eventually, if nothing else, for that nostalgia, because it's hard. You don't just find this movie easily. So, but it is one, I don't want to ruin it if you've never seen it, because I definitely want you to check it out. But he finds a way. This town is basically stuck in another dimension. Like I said, is essentially what it feels like they're in purgatory. So some of these ghosts or demons can still be killed and move on to the final place, whether it's heaven or hell. But he has to find out a way to do that. And in order to do that, he has to use the old things. He can't use his stuff. He has to find ways to kill them with stuff that existed when they existed normally. It's a lot. It's a mystery. It's a little horror, a little Western. Ghost Town, hell of a watch. Check it out if you've never seen it. It's not littered with like big famous faces, but it is a good movie. And I think the original cut that was released was actually the working print of the movie. It was never supposed to be released. So I don't know if like on some of these, maybe it's expensive because they got their hands on it and put the whole cut together, but I definitely got to get it and check it out. You check it out any way you can. It is definitely worth your time. And I believe, oh, I got one more. I can't believe I forgot this one. I got one more. This is not the last one on, that was not the last one on my list because I forgot 1998's Pleasantville. If you haven't seen Pleasantville, then maybe this is one of those ones with sleepers that you're more likely to have seen. Pleasantville is amazing. I absolutely love it. Stars Tobey Maguire, Reese Witherspoon, Paul Walker is in this movie, William H. Macy's in this movie. Who else? Jeff Daniels is in this movie. And what it is a kid, Don Knotts is in this movie. Tobey Maguire plays this kid who is like super into movies and TV shows, and he's ready to just spend his whole weekend just vegging out on this old TV show called Pleasantville. His sister is she's a little slutty. And she's happy about it. They're both in high school, and she's fine with getting around and having a good time. And it's played by Reese Witherspoon. And Don Knotts is ends up being kind of like a guardian angel type, and he gives Tobey Maguire this remote, and basically it sucks them into the TV show. And the TV show is all in black and white, so they're all in black and white. And as they realize they're living each episode of the show, and Tobey Maguire knows the show real well, so they can they can get by playing the parts, but Reese Witherspoon won't play the part. She won't play the part. And as they bring in these concepts of misbehaving, or whether it's like kissing or sex or different thoughts or whatever that didn't fit in with the show, as this spreads, the people turn to color. And so it has this it goes to this sort of civil rights thing too, where it's kind of like colored people over here, white, like there's like this segregation that starts to happen. It's very, very well done movie. Very, very well done. But it's interesting I can't tell you the end. I'm not going to tell you the end, but there's some things that happen that you wouldn't expect. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, I really enjoy Pleasantville. Check it out. And now this time, that is the end of my list of 10 awesome movies that you've never seen, or maybe you just forgot about or just kind of skipped over. But I enjoy these movies. Check them out. Let me know what you think. Have you seen all these movies? Is there some others? I'll always try to come back and do more of these lists. These lists are so much fun. And if I can even find one person out there that has never seen the movie and gets turned on to the movie because of these videos, that's enough. They are fun to do and just having a good time. But we got spooky season stuff coming up on September the 1st. You're going to see, we're going to turn the page. It's going to be all Halloween, all fall, all spooky season, outside of the physical media news and sales drops. Everything else is going to be focused on spooky season, and lots of content coming for you on that. And we do all kinds of things here. We do all that. We do lists, we do rankings, we do 4K reviews from a fan and filmmaker's perspective. We do the physical media news. We do Chase's targets so that you always know what I'm looking for out there. My targets are in the description box below. If you want to send me anything or say hello, the address for AVA Pop Culture is down there as well. And if you enjoy that kind of stuff and everything we do here, please like and subscribe and spread the word. It really does help me out in so many ways. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can do that by joining the channel down below here on YouTube or at my Patreon. You can get behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, special access to videos, live streams, short films that I've made. Of course, you're going to get your name and lights here and your shout outs on the videos and so much more. It really does help me out. A couple dollars here and there. I hate to sound like I'm begging for money, but it does help me being able to bring content to you guys all the time. But you don't have to do any of that to help me out and help the channel. Just like, subscribe, and ring that bell and spread the pop culture word. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.